spots around the house.
Yeah, our foster greyhound, he loves the kibble ball, and he just slams it against walls to make it bounce.
That's why we stopped using ours. We used to use it to feed the dog because he eats so fast.
Yep.
Right.
We had
It didn't slow him down very much.
Yeah, our dog just started to think that there was a discovery process all around the house 24/7 for food after that.
Right.
So he would just like find something under a crack under the refrigerator and just be on it and scratch at it for like 15 minutes until you literally move the refrigerator, and it was really, we couldn't do it anymore.
It was
oh wow.
the whole process of first what this taught him is if you push things, food might come out. So push everything because you never know. And second, yes, they would roll out and get under things, and he would spend a day trying to get it out from under the refrigerator.
Yeah. Or the cats would come because they really liked his food, and they would flank him and try to get the food bits before, and it became a little bit of a.
They were hyenas.
Yeah, it was a little Wild Kingdom situation.
All right, we are live.
Oh,
hi.
Woohoo! Yeah, some of the early viewers are going to see some pet talk.
Secrets of our pug.
It's puppy day.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
An appropriate day.
Well, hello, and welcome to issue 590 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Benarita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashtani.
And this week we have two guests. We have Keith and Jen. We've had Keith on, I think, before, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of Twogether Studios, because they're going to talk about their newest game for the Adventure Zone podcast, which is fantastic. So
last time I was here was playing an early draft of the Adventure Zone with you all, I think, maybe.
I think
the last time you were with us was for Gloom.
It's for Gloom, because you were talking about a new version of Gloom was coming out.
And a new version of Gloom is coming out. It's on Kickstarter right now.
I saw that like more of like a role-playing version of it, or an expanded.
Mind if I jump in for just a
Go
moment?
for it.
So just explain Gloomier, which is a night at Hemlock Hall. It's still basic Gloom, and part of what I wanted to do was to go back to the theme of the original Gloom rather than, space, Cthulhu, etc. But it expands on the storytelling hooks and, really trying to help people build a story. And I could talk about that a lot more, but hey, we have another storytelling game to talk about. But check out Gloomier on Kickstarter.
And that's published by Atlas Games.
That's true.
Nice. Yeah, go ahead and fire away on this the game you're designing for with the Adventure Zone crew.
So we reached out to the Adventure Zone crew, the McElroys, if you will, who are, of course, the podcast Dynasty family. So you might know them from My Brother and Me, and of course the Adventure Zone, the actual play podcast, where they play D&D as a family, and they've had 3 arcs over 5 or 6 years now, and so we wanted to do a game that was approachable for new players, great for families, also great if you want to play D&D with your friends and you just don't have the spoons. So it is a really great get up and go adventure storytelling game. No DM is needed. And it is card driven. So you want to talk about it more?
Yeah, one of the things to me is when we first mentioned we were doing it, a lot of people were like, I thought the Adventure Zone game was D&D. But what we really wanted to do was to try and capture the sort of actual experience people enjoy about listening to the Adventure Zone, which is more about this family of friends having fun creating a story. And an episode of the Adventure Zone is about an hour, and so we wanted this experience where you're getting together with your friends who may or may not know how to play like traditional role-playing games, and you're by the end of 75 minutes you're going to have told a fun, hilarious story that you all enjoyed. So it's an adventuring party game, if you will.
Someone said it's like if you took D&D and made it into a party game, and I think that's a great pitch. So,
which there is a high demand for those type of games. There are a lot of people who are into D&D and want to try out D&D, but it's overwhelming for them. And if they can't find a party or a DM to handle it, having games like this,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which has a lot of the flavor and a lot of the spirit of the game,
Yeah.
really helps.
And I think too that it's okay to like and play D&D and also play a game like this. There's just times where you want something lighter. You're it's in the future and you're all at a pub, or you all of you are exhausted from living through a panini and are just like, let's just play something quick and easy. And this is 2 hours, very little setup, no DM, everyone gets to play, and really all the story prompts are really there. On the cards, they really make you as funny as as one of the family members,
Well,
and I really love that. But it's also no pressure. If you have friends who are a little bit shyer, there's ways that you can go about it. There's crevices in the game for people who are not really role players but are just kind of want to play the game.
yeah, I mean,
Nice.
it's building on the same sort of experience that we explored with Gloom, where the point is the storytelling is really the best part of the experience, but you also want to make sure there is a game that works. Even if the person is nervous, is shy, well, they can still roll the die and just see if they succeed or fail. It's just here we go a little step farther, and a lot of cards, ask you questions and will give you bonuses if you come up with an answer.
Yeah.
And so it actually makes the storytelling part of the game and not just, oh, this is a layer that the game's more fun if you do it.
Right. No, that's a really cool element to it. So it encourages people that are sometimes shy to kind of, loudly feel themselves have a little bit safer entry into the storytelling part. The cards kind of give them prompts also.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Which
Nice.
is again in your wheelhouse
Yes.
for games.
Right.
I like the idea that it can be D&D-esque in concept, but does not require a long-term commitment.
Mhm.
I'm in 3-4 gaming campaigns right now, and none of them is designed to have an end date necessarily. You just keep going, and even in the best of times, getting adults together can be hard.
Yeah.
And so the idea of trying to complete a long campaign can just be a little bit daunting sometimes. And it's nice to just be able to pull something out of the drawer and just go and have a good night and not worry about what you're going to do with it the rest of the year.
Right. There's not a huge preciousness to it. I think the only thing that we were kind of precious about was we had to make a choice of whether our character sheets were going to be tearaway or like a whiteboard material. Actually, making them whiteboard material would have been cheaper, but there's an area where you could draw a picture of your character and have notes. And we kind of thought, since they're kind of like little parties or little happenings, people kind of want a little piece of that game. So we made them into tear-off sheets. But I see that it is it's a lot more in the moment than an ongoing D&D campaign, and it's far more you can jump right in. We did a lot of playtesting on people who didn't know anything about the Adventure Zone, playing with people who did, and would they still enjoy it, and they did, which was huge for us. If you're gonna find people to play with, you don't have to tell them the entire lore of a 70-hour podcast in order to play.
And I think that's a really important part of it to me. I'm also, currently running a couple of Eberron campaigns and working on my next Eberron book. And it is that point both that this is just something that you can just experience in the evening, enjoy. But also it is that key point of when we worked with the McElroys in the beginning. We talked about a lot of possibilities, and one of the things we said is the point of this game is not to replay the action of the balance arc of the Adventure Zone. It's to say that this is a tool for you to create your own stories in that universe. And basically it uses modular decks to sort of create a particular adventure, a mission, by saying we have a villain, we have a location, we have a relic that we're trying to reclaim. all the players collaborate together to sort of add details. Well, who is this lich? Where is the cave? And that way, every time you play it, it is creating this unique adventure that's really built on what you come up with. And we've played it at this point, over 100 times with all the times we've been playing, and every story is something different.
Yeah.
I still think the time we played recently with Justin McElroy is probably
Yeah,
my favorite,
we played
but-
quite a bit on our Twitch stream as well, and those are recorded. So if anybody wants to see what the game looks like in action, you can go over there.
Cool.
You can go to Together Studios, twitch.tv Together Studios, TWO Together Studios, Together, and also if you go to theadventurezonegame.com, there's lots of little videos and 40-second overviews. You can see how the game is played too.
I put a link in the YouTube chat
Hey.
to there.
Technology.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I like the fact that one of the features on there is that you talk about how to play over video conferencing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got some fun backgrounds and PDFs of the stuff, and added a couple of tools that of how to play. But it's so easy. I mean, when we were just about to go to print last April, and before we did, I wanted to play over video chat to see if it was going to work, and ended up playing every single day for over a month with different people who backed and just said, hey, I'm going to just do a game every day. People sign up. And it was great. People didn't know each other, and they played, and we played just I had like a little camera on my desk, and it was great. And it worked out really fun. So,
And I really think that is sort of a point for me again, is there isn't a game master. There's a team leader who basically is just saying somebody needs to know the rules. It's sort of like being the banker in Monopoly. You're playing the game, but somebody knows how it actually works.
I would
Right.
always steal money, though. Did you always steal money when you were the banker?
I only stole money in Illuminati because in Illuminati you were supposed to steal
Yeah, that's
money.
true.
But that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But nonetheless, the point to me is one of the things I love most about tabletop role-playing games in general is that collaborative storytelling experience. Going way back into the distant past, in 2009, I traveled around running D&D games for people all over the world, and I ran the same game 60 times. And what I loved about it was just seeing the way different people interacted with the story. And you get that same experience here of, even though the base elements of the story are simpler than, say, a D&D adventure, it's still always fun. Like Jim played, 30 games in a row, and yet it's always fun just to see, well, what's this group come up with?
Yeah.
It's always new because it's created by
Yeah.
each individual conjunction of people.
Right.
It says a lot too about the folks that wanted to get on board to play with complete strangers at the beginning of
We had great
this. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
I think the McElroy fans are really amazing. They're usually incredibly generous and are just, especially if they know the world, they're just excited to be in it. And last March, April, May was right now feels equally bad. But then I felt like we had less information, and I think that it was scarier and people had less to do. And I think it was really great meeting people that way. It was really interesting. And I remember one guy, he was setting up a COVID testing drive-through. His job was in public health in a town in the middle of the United States. I think it was Kansas, literally. And he's like, I only have a couple hours off a week, and I made sure that this was how I wanted to spend my time this week. I want to be in this world rather than this one right now. And to me, I just was like, okay, this is amazing. Just have that level of excitement. So
That also makes me feel really good about knowing that there is someone in the Kansas state health system
yeah,
that this is how they spend their off time so that they can focus and be a good person
yeah.
in the real world. That's awesome.
I also think that what we found is, before we work with any, so we worked on Illimat with Decemberists and their fan
Mhm.
base, kind of seeing what they were like and what game would really appeal to them. And we did the same for the McElroys. We didn't want to say, oh, every McElroy fan is like us, because so we went to a lot of their shows and talked to a lot of the people in the audience, and people thought I was incredibly weird because they had no idea they were making a game, or I was just acting like, hi, I felt like my mom. I was like, hi, I'm Jen. How are you? Do you play games? But what we really found was a lot of people who were introduced to role-playing games for the first time through the McElroys, who are not normally seen. Like if you saw a group of them in an audience, you would say, these are all gamers. These are all people I would see at Gen Con. These are all people I'd see at Emerald City Comic Con or Rose City. They're not really who you would see there. And so it was a really great opportunity to play with people who were like, I've never played a role-playing game before, but I love this podcast, and I've done improv. Maybe I can play. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're gonna be fine, and as well as people who were in 5 D&D campaigns in addition to oh yeah, I'll help you playtest. So there was a whole gamut there that we kind of wanted to make sure that we had things that they were excited about. So
I do have to say, one of just the tiny little things about the game, but it makes me very happy, is we decided that we wanted to have a D20 with this game, because that's one of the things. You're playing a role-playing game, you should have one of those wacky D20s.
That's right.
You don't really know D&D that well. Doesn't that use those funny dice? But basically, the game uses a range of 1 to 6, and so we actually created a D20 D6 that is basically 3 D20s with a critical hit and an epic fail face on it. But it's a lot of fun the first time people start playing. And you're like, and then you just roll the die and add it, and they're, they think, oh, D20, this is easy. And you're like, of course it only goes up to 6. And I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah.
And it is giant. So, it's a big D20.
And one of the reasons why it's so big is we actually had in mind that this is something that should be on a footprint that you could play on a coffee table or in a pub or something like that you didn't have a lot of space, and so that you could see, everyone could see the die roll, that
right,
all that stuff. But also because we didn't want people cheating. No,
gamers cheat? No.
Well, only when playing Illuminati. I mean, no.
And also paranoia.
Well, yes, that's true too. I will say just minor geek notes from the past that I remember when I was in high school playing Illuminati and playing with you get to cheat roll, and everyone else playing would be like really tentative and sneaky and hee I stole five megabucks, and I basically would always just, if I was going to cheat, I would take a handful and just like hide it, and at the end of the game be like, yeah, I just had all the money, like I had half the thing. People,
that's what you're supposed to do with that one.
Exactly. If you're gonna why waste time?
Go big, go home.
Yeah.
So that really quick, so one of our friends has been playing Illuminati since like it first came out, and they used to come with blank cards you could write your own rules to.
Yep.
And the one he wrote was that I forgot how he worded it, but basically he wrote that all Arm & Hammer is actually spies of the Soviets, and if you have Arm & Hammer in your fridge, you have already lost the game. So he would play that, and he's like, go check your fridge. And everyone has a box of fucking Arm & Hammer, in their fridge. Like, I win. They're like, that's cheating. He's like, no, I won. You shouldn't allow spies in your kitchen.
Now I'm just gonna have to buy off-brand baking soda for
that's right.
Life, just
Well, now it's out there.
Fire for the win.
Oh yeah, that was my plan, so he can't use that card on me anymore.
Part of the Great Kroger conspiracy. He's an agent of Kroger.
Oh man, yep.
Oh, nice. So, what's the age range for the game? And do you think it, depending on the person, could someone a little bit younger play it, or?
Sure. So yeah. So there's a funny thing about importing toys and games in the United States. And so it says 13 and up on the box. But we've had a lot of people who are playing with families and kids age 10. Justin McElroy's been playing with his daughter, who is, I think, 7. And I saw someone play with a 4-year-old, but it was a very toned down version of the game.
I mean,
So I would say 10 and up, 9 and up is probably good with other adults.
I think that the key is you need someone, 13ish to actually understand the rules and go.
Sure.
Actual playing,
Yeah.
a lot of it is, well, just tell a story about what you want to do, and then someone will roll the die for you and tell you if you succeeded,
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So there's a lot of kids who like to tell stories.
There's a little bit more structure than that
I
in the
know,
game.
but
but-
I'm saying for the kid.
Yeah, but I would say it's a really good family game. As far as all the humor on the cards, there's nothing blue or anything or
Right.
Almost nothing. Almost nothing.
Unlike this show.
Cool baby. is what I'm
There's
saying.
a couple of cool babies, but every parent always goes through, whatever their game and review first and takes up.
Right.
So, but I'd say 10 and up. So we have a lot of families who are really digging it, and also, adults.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that kids are way more intuitive when it comes to gaming than we give them credit for.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
It is my general rule of thumb whenever I'm asked at Guardian about, it's like, is this a good game for kids? It's like, I don't know your kid.
Yeah.
Like, do you
Right.
know your kid? I've described what the game is. What does it sound like to you? It's like, oh yeah, this is something my kid would do. It's like, there's your answer.
I feel the
Like-
same way about older folks as well. If they've been playing card games their whole life, they've been playing with that memory of all of that executive processing of
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
you do in a game. There was nothing written on the cards. You had to know all the games and all the moves and all the things, especially if they played bridge. Holy cow.
Oh yeah.
So, they can play Azul, they can play Illimat, they can play all those games and we don't necessarily always give them credit for that. So I feel the same way about some older folks as I do when people about them with kids.
I think it's a funny point of for me, Illimat, when we made it, one of the things about Illimat was it was the first game of mine I'd made that I could play with my dad. And so I'm
He was
like,
in his 80s,
yeah,
so
well, I'm
Mhm.
just saying. So it's good for over,
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Gloom is just too weird.
Yeah.
Action Cats.
Yeah.
Played Action Cats with my full family.
Yeah,
So-
I played with my mom, who was never a card player or anything, but she just got to be the judge for every round. So
That's fair.
Well, hopefully I can get my spouse into the Adventure Zone game.
I think you can.
I tried to get her into Gloom, and she just can't click with it because it's not fast enough. Granted, almost all of our friends are storytellers of one kind or another, so our rounds last a long time. We go into real.
This is
long
my
deep-
shocked face.
and my spouse is very much make the play, move it along, and we're telling like elaborate stories and using accents, and she's already like, okay, guys, okay,
But I might
I think this might be a little more her speed.
yeah.
what I might recommend when you play the Adventure Zone with her, there's excuse me, with them, I'm not sure what their
Or that's it's fine.
they are you can play you can assist one another, so you can kind of chime in on other people's stories and kind of be a part of it. Different characters classes have different type of assist skills. The bard has the ability to assist almost on every round and every turn, and so if they want something to do every round, play the bard in the Adventure Zone. If it's just the two of you, I don't necessarily recommend the bard, but play the wizard or something, or the rogue, where you have like lots of kind of cool abilities. But one of the things I really like about the Adventure Zone game is the ability to assist other players. So it's not like I'm waiting for my turn, and there's kind of hooks in of how people can assist. So there's like a built-in pairing there.
Nice.
It kind of
Yeah.
gives me some pandemic vibes.
And that actually is an important point. It's a cooperative game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You are all working together as a team. You win or lose as a team. So part of it too is it's never like, oh, one character gets knocked out and
Yeah.
then you're sitting.
Which can
Still-
be sort of a can cause problems if you're trying to have like a party game kind of a night.
Right.
I've definitely there are friends that I no longer wish to play party games with because they're either winning or they're angry.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'm not playing board games with them anymore. But the cooperative games tend to be they sort of cut that off at the pass.
How do you manage that? How do you manage because sometimes the people get the angriest, like can't wait to come back next week, for the next. I mean, I know it's probably been a while since all of us had game nights, but I kind of wonder, like, what do you do in that situation?
Well, luckily it's a friend that I am not that close with, nor do I typically spend that much time with. And yeah, I just try to be a little bit more.
Out this person on live.
No, not at all. They won't know I'm talking about them because I've never challenged them about it. I'm just sort of, it's not, and I guess angry is a bit strong. Okay. They just get a shitty attitude, and so I just try not to play competitive games with them.
What we refer to as a poor loser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Party conducive, like to the enjoyment of everyone there, and I think that bothers me the most because I'm very much like, let's just play games. I'm not really, if I'm having just as good a time with a game that I'm losing, especially when I'm like playtesting something, if I'm losing and having a good time, that's a good game for me. Like, so anyway.
Two random anecdotes just to throw in. One of the things is I definitely know at least two people I've played games with over the years who part of the problem is they're really upset when they're losing, but they get angry even when they're winning, if they're not winning by as much as they think they should be, and you're just like, ugh. But I do recall going back again about 20 years ago, as game designers, one of the things you do is just tweak other games. And I had made a wacky variant that sort of mashed up Cosmic Encounter and Monopoly. Where everybody had some kind of crazy power for Monopoly. And one of the powers was the miser, who pays one step less when you pay people, which means if you land and they don't have a Monopoly, you don't pay them. And this guy playing the game, literally by the time we're in the mid game, I don't think he had any properties. He might have had one. Like, it was clear he is going to lose. Like, there is no way you can win here. And he just played the whole thing straight through, just taking great joy whenever he landed on someone's unimproved property, being able to say, I pay you nothing. I just really admired the sort of, he's like, I'm going to find something fun in this, even though I know I've had the worst luck in history.
There is something fun about the player who has a joyous streak of spite in them.
Yeah.
It's always great to play with someone who has fun no matter what. Like the point is the game, not who won.
I will often play some group games that way, that there's supposed to be a certain way you're supposed to play it, and if I know I'm going to lose, I'm like, no, now I'm just going to become an agent of chaos.
Well, that was my problem with games like The Resistance. Is I always want to play a game like The Resistance, like a role-playing game. Like, when you have to select people for your mission, I'm going to be like, okay, son, tell me, why do you hate the Empire? and things like that. And all the people I would end up playing with want to play it like very logically puzzle-driven. Let's calculate, well, Bob did this. And I'm like, where's the, I could do a crossword puzzle if that's what I was looking for. Sudoku, perhaps.
I'm trying to decide if I think you would be a good team member or not for an escape room.
I think that's a very, very good question. Because no matter how kind and sweet he is a little bit of a Slytherin at heart. So, which sometimes sometimes in an escape room really comes in handy, but sometimes it could also be like, really?
Slytherins unite.
Yeah, I gotta say, if I'd be a good person to have an escape room or a bad person, but I'd be a fun person to have an escape room.
That's what's most important.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who is incredibly intelligent, a polyglot, and they are awful to have in an escape room because they overthink everything.
Mm-hmm.
They are seeing puzzles and things that are just clearly like, no, that's just the color of, that's just the wallpaper.
They're like,
no, but what? Yeah. And they had a job that used to involve coding and decoding, so their brain is just wired that way.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, they're amazing, but even they have admitted they're like, I can't do these things. I'm trying to think like what my old job used to be, and it doesn't work.
Damon, I'm sorry that job ruined escape rooms for them.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, they enjoy the design of it, and they like us having fun. But yeah, they're like, I can't. No, I'm overthinking everything.
Yeah.
Thus far, these two are the two that I've done escape rooms with,
It's true.
along with your significant others.
And when you say these two, you mean your co-hosts, not your dog and your cat.
Yes.
Just making sure, because you were sort of pointing.
they're
That's
smart,
true.
but
I
without
forget
funds, you can
how the
only get so
layout is.
far.
Yeah.
I would really love an escape room that required like some sort of like feline, like yeah, like you have to put like a certain like paw or someplace. And it opens something.
That's adorable.
I was prepared for the idea that after a year of pandemic, you've just started like running escape rooms for your pets. You know?
It's called.
I am now.
Yeah.
Being, you know, we still have year 2 of the pandemic.
Yeah.
There's time. There's time.
He's slowly turning into Richard Dreyfuss from Close Encounters. Like this is something. He's just building
He's
a
got
miniature.
mashed potatoes, but in the shape of a maze.
Mm-hmm.
Have they made Pandemic Season 3 that just is COVID and just being stuck in an apartment? Like that's the game?
No, it's like,
I don't know.
That's too real. It's just
I know they came out with Pandemic Hot Zone like right when the pandemic happened, and that just took place in the States, and we're like, that's too on the
soon.
nose, guys.
yeah.
Too on the nose.
Is it still a really hot ironic seller? I mean, I remember last year people were like, "Oh, let's play Pandemic."
Yeah, we sold a lot of those right in the first few months. It's normalized now. The one that I like to sell for to really stick it is Pandemic Contagion, where
Me
you're
too.
the disease.
That is my favorite actual version of Pandemic with the little cubes and
And it's competitive. It's like, oh yeah, this is total. Yep, this is great.
you play the disease and it's got all that.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Isn't the designer of that local to Portland? Maybe
Matt Leacock.
Pandemic.
Yeah,
Contagion.
I don't know. I don't know if Matt Leacock is. I'm gonna
thought
look that up now.
One of the sort of mini Pandemic games has a local designer. I know there's like 2 of them. I can't remember what the other one is.
Look it up.
Yeah,
I will do
I
that.
think you're right there, Jen.
By the way, this is important knowledge. Bex in our chat did want to share that they played an escape room once where you had to put the cat poop in a certain place.
Oh,
So it's probably as close as you can get to pet-related escape rooms.
There you go.
I'll start saving my cat's poop just in case we need it for,
Mhm.
for something.
yeah. Okay.
Speaking of Bex, she also said that she played Adventure Zone with her 7-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, cool.
Question answered.
We
Yeah.
do have. Speaking of questions, we do have a couple questions from our listeners.
Please.
Yeah, please.
This one comes from Norm from Texas. In playtesting, what was one of the funniest things that you saw players do in the game?
Oh, dang.
Okay,
Because there's
well,
so many stories, but it's been a while now.
First, I will say, okay, so we did playtest events where we had like literally over 100 people in Chicago. So we had like 8 or 9 tables going, and we did iterative testing. We did one-on-one testing. So we did like a ton of testing on this. And I will say it's probably one of the most pleasurable playtest experiences I ever had, because I just sat back and listened to people's hilarious stories and wrote down quotes a lot. And so it was a joy to playtest this game. It really was. And it was just really special because we do a lot of blind playtesting without any art on it, because we never want to be accused of a game that like looks really pretty but doesn't really play well or something like that. So and also we want to make sure the mechanics are solid and that like we're not throwing things off. And even when, gosh, I think we used to call it the ugly babysit. I remember being on a podium in Chicago with 150 people who paid for a ticket to play test the game and have dinner and have like this whole event. And I would say, you're at the ugly baby phase. We're going to show you the ugly baby. And and people like had an amazing time. And so I will just say that's funny. That was great. And then I would just write down little quotes that people had said, because I love like little things, you know, like there's just so much fire my cape can take, or you know, like just little things like that. I would write it down, and sometimes I'd post it on our thing, and people were like, what the hell is she posting? But my favorite thing is we were in Springfield, Missouri. We were play testing, must have been February of 2020. No.
2019.
2019, maybe. Of late October. And
yeah, because 2020, no one was traveling.
No one.
Yeah.
Right at the very beginning, we were out.
Yeah. People would draw a Fantasy Costco card, and the whole table started singing the Fantasy Costco theme song from the Adventure Zone.
Shall we?
And I'll show them the thing after I finish the story. Right. And at the end, I would ask them questions. So, what do you know about the Adventure Zone? And nobody except one person knew anything about the Adventure Zone. So, and none of them knew each other. So they're all like in 4-part, 3-part harmony singing this theme song, and only one person really knew it. It's not that hard to pick up, but it's so it was just hilarious that so that kind of felt really special to me anyway. But
and basically I was going to say the same thing, except to me that wasn't a one-time occurrence. That was something we found generally often, is basically if one person would start singing, you know, whenever you just say Fantasy Costco, like, oh, you're getting something from Fantasy Costco, invariably someone will sing the song, and before you know it, everybody's singing the song every time it comes up. So
it inspired me in the materials that I just really wanted to make that. I wanted to just encourage that when people were playing. And so there's a deluxe version of the game. We wanted to make an affordable, like under $40 version of the game, but something that had like bells and whistles. So we have this Fantasy Costco, and it's a card holder that holds all your Fantasy Costco cards. And I kept this a secret until everyone who pre-ordered it got their copy. So I feel okay now being here saying it. There's on the loading dock behind here, there's like a little code.
Mm-hmm.
Should we demonstrate?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a second.
And when you scan your phone on it.
Technology.
There it is. I got it.
Yeah,
it's just, there you go.
Okay. It's quicker when it's on your table. So, got a deal for you. Yeah. So the song complete. You can have the song available at any time to you while it's on your table. So there you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's our playtesting story.
That's our playtesting story.
So Bex also mentioned that she loved the fact that came with her copy. So clearly she kickstarted it. So.
Yeah. Yay.
Well, and that answers my question about. I noticed that there was a deluxe edition, and I wanted to know more about that. So
yeah, so the deluxe edition comes with like metal coins, the Fantasy Costco, a dice for everyone, and we it's a limited edition. We do have some extras available now, so we're now selling through. So once we confirmed everyone received theirs and replaced ones that get lost in the mail. We have a couple hundred left over, and those are available now on our website. So at theadventurezonegame.com, you can still get it. And the cover is a foil box special cover with the void fish on it.
It's really pretty. If
Yeah,
anyone wants to go to the store right now, it's really pretty. I will have to tell my coworker Tilly about that. Oh. She was very excited about knowing that there is an Adventure Zone game.
Is that a hoodie or a shirt?
We had these hoodies. So
nice.
There's a local nonprofit in Portland called New Avenue Youth for Youth, and they actually have a print shop. And their print shop, they do silkscreen, and they train transitional and homeless youth how to do silk screening and all aspects of the business. So from accounts and everything. And so we try to use them as much as possible. So during the holiday season, we did a void fish thing and kind of the Adventure Zone fans like really helped New Avenues like Inc. really stay through the hard winter times here in Portland. So it was really
Yeah.
great local thing that we were able to do, and the
That's
fans
great.
really made possible.
That's great. Yeah.
I'm going to pass that along to the powers that be at Guardian for.
Yeah, and they're
That's dramatic.
fabulous.
Any
Nice.
questions?
Yeah, I know you have to take off here. We have one more question actually from Bex. So she asked, was the game made with the idea of maybe an expansions in the future, or is like this it?
So it is very, very possible that there could be
Subtle.
and that's what I'm known for. For an expansion in the future. So I would say, which will be available at retailers and pre-order if and when it happens. So I would just say, stay tuned, get on our mailing list, togetherstudios.com/mailing list. We do a monthly newsletter, and we'll announce as soon as it's available.
Cool. Fantastic. So, well, I think we have to let you go because I think Keith mentioned he has work to do tonight.
It's true. I am still on a writing deadline for the next Eberron book I'm working on.
Oh, you probably can't say what that one is yet, can you?
Well, I can actually, because it's not for Wizards of the Coast. Do you mind if I talk about it?
Please
for just a moment?
do.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, because I'm writing stuff for the DMs Guild, it's a little more free.
Yeah, so Together Studios has an imprint for all of the work that Keith does on the DMs Guild called KB Presents. Of course, I think, do you still have the number one thing?
I would have to check. So we made Exploring Eberron, which is a book that I released through the DMs Guild, and for at least 7 months we were the number one product, and we've been hovering up there. I'd have to check to see if we're number one today, but I'm amazed, frankly, by the response. And so what I'm working on now is a book called Frontiers of Eberron Threshold, and basically I've been doing a thing with my Patreon, which is Keith Baker on Patreon, where I'm running an online campaign set on the western frontier of Eberron, and so it's a little bit like sort of Deadwood meets D&D, you know,
awesome.
It's a bit of a fantasy western on the border of the Kingdom of Monsters. And I've just finished the 3rd session actually of this campaign I'm running for patrons, and I sort of randomly bring in patrons as players each time. And so Threshold, the book, is basically like a setting within a setting. Like it's a narrow focus on running campaigns in this Western Frontier region. And so it goes a lot more into Droam, which is the nation of monsters in Eberron. And it just generally is a chance to really sort of zoom in on a small area, whereas most of the source books I work on are really big areas. It reminds me a little bit of the source book for Sharn, which was one of my favorite things to work on, but this is sort of for a little region instead of just one city. And that I hope will be coming out in July. That
sounds amazing. I'll have to pick that up.
But yeah, if you check out either my Patreon or I talk about Threshold a bunch on my website, which will soon be on Together Studios.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm sort of developing it all through this ongoing campaign that I'm running online, and that's been a really fun experience.
That sounds fantastic.
Excellent.
We have very busy days by ourselves in this little house.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I have a question that is completely apropos to nothing we've discussed all evening, but it's been on my mind since the moment we all got on camera. Are you guys both wearing LA Iworks frames?
No.
I'm wearing.
Oh, you nerd.
Okay, Jen is. I can tell by the temple pieces there.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think mine says Bevel. If it would say
Bevel, I should know because I think I sold you those, but
yes, I think you did.
Oh,
Yeah.
my old job. Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. I remember.
Pretty cult job.
It probably was because we need new glasses. We have not bought glasses. Pandemic.
I responded to customer service saying, "Hi, Jill," and the guy's name was Jim, and I realized I really need a new prescription.
Yeah.
So, I was like, "Whoa, I'm sorry."
That's definitely when you know.
Yeah. So.
But at least you guys look good in them.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much. We had help.
Yes, we had good help.
Oh, I have to bring her to all my glasses now. She'll judge me if I
I know
get bad
now
ones.
I'm not in the eyewear industry, but I'm still like I still have like a internal eye for it, where I'm like, ooh, I know what that is, and that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to get new ones. We can consult.
I'm getting, well, I kind of just want I want a bigger selection of eyewear.
You can never have enough.
Yeah. Well, you can like, I have a limited budget though. So, but I definitely want more eyewear because I wear them every day. I have a bad astigmatism, so I'm never going to wear contacts again in my life. And it's an easy fashion choice. And usually people are seeing me from here up. And that's probably not going to change in the next year or maybe two. So
let's face it, in the pandemic era, eyewear is much more important than pants.
Right.
Yeah.
It reads better than makeup. You can see it more than pants or shoes.
I only got fancy from like here up. I'm literally wearing my nasty homemaking sweatpants right now.
Oh, I've got pajama pants on right now.
That's basically what these are.
But I don't know.
I'm in shorts.
When I worked from home for many a decade, and what I would tell people when they were like, I got a new job and I'm going to be working from home, I would say the first thing that you need to do is establish your sweatpants radius, which is how far from home you will venture in your sweatpants. Once you go beyond that sweatpants radius, you know you've gone too far. So, and I still believe that that's like the best advice I could probably give anyone at any time is establish your sweatpants radius and don't go beyond it.
Loungewear needs boundaries.
Yes, it does.
I will.
To Safeway, it's a problem.
Yes.
If you've made it to the airport, it's a problem.
Oh, yeah. The airport is
I have really strong feelings about loungewear at the airport.
Me too.
And on planes.
Yes.
Yes, but by extent.
I do allow myself to wear my loungewear at my local grocery store, but I have a certain time frame with which I am allowed to do it. So
it depends on how quick the trip is and what time, how early or how late in the
anytime between 6 a.m. and like 8 a.m. it is allowed because I'm clearly running in there to get something I need right then or after midnight.
And the important part is that that's your boundaries. Like it's a self-defined boundary, and it's really establishing like what's good for your soul, because once you start like pushing those boundaries, like that's when the whole like am I being good to myself just kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an elitist snob, but I don't think I've ever left my block in sweatpants.
That is your personal sweatpants boundary.
Okay.
And it's firm and it's rigid, and that's just, you know, what you're and I think that's fine. I think that's good. For me, I'm very similar, except lately I've just been like, oh, I guess like I should go outside, but I don't want to, you know, like I'm going to go for a walk to get some vitamin D, but
yeah, there's a pill for that now.
There is.
It's true. Yeah. Well, Keith, Jen, it was amazing having you two on. We should let you get back to your stuff. Yeah, thank you. It was great. And
we should talk again when Gloomier comes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I'll be emailing you separately.
Yeah,
Excellent.
please do.
Excellent.
And then we'll plan the barbecue / game day someday.
Oh, and yes, and Adventure Zone puzzles just came out. They're available at theadventurezonegame.com and soon at your local comic and or friendly game.
Yep.
Or Puzzle Emporium.
Yeah.
If you have one of those.
It's a good thing both of our sponsors are a game store and a comic book shop.
I know you might could find these at either one of these two sponsors.
That's right.
Maybe.
I'll bet that other sponsor would also carry them.
Can you not mention their names?
No, we totally can.
Okay. Who are your
Was that
sponsors?
Wouldn't Asylum?
Guardian Games.
Oh, well, they're not right now.
Bridge
but
City
yeah.
Comics.
Right. But Asylum would also carry puzzles.
Asylum would probably carry them. Yes.
Totally would.
Happily.
Gosh, I love Bridge City Comics. I have to go in there again. When
April 1st is their 16th anniversary.
Wow. Okay, well, I have to go in there. They always have really good recommendations. It's like my go there for during the holidays to get like a couple of graphic novels that Keith I know is not reading, and I was like, this is what he's reading right now. What do you have that's new that someone like this would like? And they're like, who is this guy? I'm like, it's a long story. But
all good choices.
all good choices that we've got.
Oh yeah, some of my best Christmas gifts to my husband were thanks to Michael Ring going, "Hey, you should buy this for him."
Yeah.
All right.
Good stuff.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for the questions. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
See you soon.
Yay. Awkward sign off. Oh, now Claymore arrives.
She was in the middle of it. I don't know if you saw my hands just now. It looked like I was waving, but I was like dealing with the cat.
Mm,
Well, that was fun. They're always fun to talk to.
they are. The last time we saw Keith was for the inaugural game episode of Geek.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
'Cause we were gonna-
January 2020.
Yeah,
Once a month, we were going to do a game live.
Yep.
we made it 2 months.
Yeah.
Because then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, because we did Keith and Cthulhu Gloom.
I was
And-
gonna say, I
and then-
think
And then we did Horrified.
Nope. Horrified we did separately. For
Oh.
for the on-air thing, we had. I think you were out of town.
Oh, okay.
Indigo Kelly came in.
That's right.
We played King
Yeah.
of Tokyo.
and that was February,
Yeah,
March.
and then March went to shit.
Right.
Yes.
Because the 18th was our last in-person show.
Yeah.
Because it was also my last day at my job.
Good times.
Yeah. I know. I almost said, I think, Keith, you were our last in-person guest, but that would have been incorrect. So
Right.
Yeah, it would have been Indigo, right?
Yep.
Would it have been Indigo or would it have been Greg and Ida? They don't really count as guests anymore. They're more like, a monthly co-host for their segment.
Yeah, they're recurring
Yeah.
guest hosts
Yeah.
as opposed to guest stars.
Yeah. There you go.
I gave the cat a treat. Specifically not on my keyboard, and she has done everything she can to now be eating it and slobbering all over my keyboard.
Yeah, that sounds like
mean-
a cat.
Yep.
I'm like,
Whew.
you work on that. Come on. You done? You done licking everything?
So how else is everyone doing?
Can I be real for a moment?
Yeah, it's been a week,
Yeah.
and you tossed back that cocktail hard. You drank like I do.
So it was after last week's show that I discovered the news about what happened in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I have been fucked up since. And I'm still not great.
Right.
Like it is a level of background noise in the back of my head that has interfered with me being able to do anything that requires any amount of thought. So
That's perfectly understandable.
yes. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Like I don't, this is not my therapy session, so I don't want to expound further. But Jesus, it's been nuts.
I don't even have words for it. Just, it's such a perfect combination of fucked up elements that I really have trouble processing it.
Yeah.
The intersectionality of the murders
Mm-hmm.
is what really I think is really throwing me. Is it's the Asian American community, it is the perceived sex work community, it is women in general.
And they're the way that they've been dehumanized
Yeah.
by both that guy whose name I don't know. There was a murder spree yesterday in Colorado, and I heard that guy's name multiple times. It is a Middle Eastern presenting name.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where he's from, but it sounds Middle Eastern, and I heard his name a ton in the last 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
The Atlanta shooter, still don't know what his name is. No, it's just not being thrown around in the same way.
Yeah. And the guy in
Yeah.
Boulder is also super white presenting also.
Yeah.
There's pictures of him.
Yeah, and that's like an element of it that is like extremely enraging to me. On top of just the dehumanization of women.
Yep. Dehumanizing them as women, dehumanizing them as Asian women, dehumanizing them as sex workers. And again, I don't want to give into the public perception and stereotype that it was a massage parlor, so therefore they're sex workers.
No.
That is
No.
not necessarily true.
No.
And regardless, if that is true, fine. Who the fuck cares?
Doesn't
Like,
make it any.
Yeah, we need to stop stigmatizing sex work in this country. Sex work is service work, like any other job. You just happen to be the commodity that is being sold, and therefore, it's a lot more personal, and it should come with a lot more safeguards.
Yeah.
And legislation and protection. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I think it was yesterday I learned a new fact about it that I literally read like the news article and just went, yeah, of course, naturally that's what happened. One of them, the husband of one of the victims, is a Latino man.
Yep.
They cuffed him for 2 hours, assuming he was the shooter.
Yep.
As his wife died.
Yeah, I saw that and was
I saw
angry
it. I went,
all over again.
Yeah, I got furious, and then I had this voice in my head said, "Yeah, America, that tracks." And I just like, I'm gonna go make coffee now, I guess.
Blacks, Asians, Latins, we need to bond. We need to.
Yeah.
White supremacy is not going to stop itself, but we need more allies that are going to be working on that.
Yeah,
I know it's.
I feel like anything I say is going to be glib because I've hit that stage where I'm like, okay, right.
And I don't like, that's not what this show does. Like we clearly need to talk about the Sam and Bucky show because that's going to be that's right. More in our wheelhouse. However, we have never ever shied away from the fact that it's like, hey, this is bullshit. We're going to call bullshit. And hopefully all of you who are listening will also go, yep, that's bullshit. I'm going to go call out more bullshit.
Yeah.
That's all we can do at present. And I am at peace with that at the very least.
Right.
I know that the people that listen to the show are going out there going, nope, fuck bullshit. I'm going to go put a stop to bullshit.
Yeah.
So
and also don't feel bad. We have often used the show as therapy. So
yeah.
I mean,
this is true.
We did it all summer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
But yeah, Bucky.
Sam, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I'm having a really hard time calling it anything but the Sam and Bucky show. Because I felt so connected to both of those characters in that episode. Like in the pilot episode, it's like, here's a Sam and Bucky. We're watching Sam and Bucky. Yes, they are the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but they're showing us that they're also Sam and Bucky.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really important.
I need to watch it again because I didn't really get into it, and I know it's because I just wasn't paying enough attention.
Oh, okay.
But also, I have a hard time thinking I'm going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed WandaVision.
It's going to be a completely different animal.
WandaVision spoke to me on a on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Granted, I mean, obviously, the Sam and Bucky show is obviously they're dealing with like PTSD and disassociation behavior and amongst other things that are broadly relatable to a lot of people, but it just didn't grab me in the same way. So
I would
it's also when you find out the Avengers don't pay.
Yep.
Which I think we kind of knew. Granted, they're not being paid, but if they go, oh man, I need this, Stark would just go, oh yeah, okay, done.
Yeah, right.
I do think it's worth a rewatch, Denise, because while it is not, and I didn't expect this either, it is not what WandaVision was. It carries a lot of the same spirit of, yeah, this is not your standard superhero movie.
Yes.
And we're
Yes,
not.
and
going
that's why I know that like I did it the disservice by not like giving it my full attention, because I could tell with my partial attention that it's doing something important.
Mhm. I know the showrunner at one point in an interview a few weeks ago, they were like, well, what is this? What is this show going to be about? What is it going to be like WandaVision? Is it going to do this? And he basically commented, it's like, this is going to be very decidedly a black superhero show, and you're going to know it. And
I think
Getting
that they
to-
did a good job of
oh yeah,
right off the bat.
Yeah, the scene in the bank, like right off
Yep.
the bat. I also think this show is going to make a certain cross section of America a little angry, because I'm also getting the vibe that this show is also going to point a really important but ugly lens on a lot of our governmental hypocrisy. If you're even a semi-passing Marvel Comics fan, you know that the new Cap is U.S. agent.
Yep.
With all the bullshit that comes with that literal like U.S. fascist. Side note, I had no idea. That's fucking Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son.
Yeah.
That's who that is.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor too.
He is.
He has a show on Hulu called Lodge 49, I want to say. It's Lodge 40 something. And it's, I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but it is a really interesting, like, bordering on magical realism, but just barely. But it's about the death of his father.
I learned yesterday he is also, oddly enough, in another movie. I've lost the name of the movie. I'm going to look it up. But Overlord. It's called Overlord.
Oh, Overlord, that's it.
Which is it's a World War II Nazi Germany zombie movie, except it is a twist on what if the origin of Captain America was a zombie movie.
Yeah. It literally has a super soldier serum in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he's the guy that gets shot with the super soldier serum, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, that's really deep cut stunt casting to have him then play U.S. agent.
The movie's not for everyone. I dug it. It's fucking ridiculous.
Did you notice
Overlord?
who the producer is?
Yeah, I know, but he didn't write it or direct it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So they just took his money and made a movie.
Okay.
Wait, what?
J.J. Abrams.
Oh, right.
Oh, Wyatt Russell is also in The Good Lord Bird, which looks really good, but I haven't seen it because it's on one of those cable pay channels that I
still
don't
haven't
have.
started that.
But yeah, everyone should definitely check out Lodge 49 if you want to get to know Wyatt Russell a little more. He's
and or Overlord.
Good actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the character that Falcon is saving in the opening sequence.
Oh, and see, I didn't even realize it's the same guy.
It's the same guy.
Is it?
Okay, I'm gonna watch that again tonight.
I thought that was the guy that he's talking to on the phone.
No, that's his ground support. That's Torres.
Oh, right. You're right. Okay, right. Yeah. I had to rewatch it. I totally spaced on that part of the connection there.
I didn't notice that until I think Merrick is the one that pointed that out. She's looking at it going, I think that's the guy he just saved. And I looked at the credits. I was like, you are 100% correct. That's who that was. I was mostly enamored with the fact that they brought back Batroc the Leaper.
Yeah.
Like, that was not who I was expecting to see back. And like, of course. He makes a great first villain for your show with your two sidekicks of Cap, who are now, taking that mantle over.
Right.
I really did love the cameo of Rhodey, though. That
was cool.
Cemented what this show was gonna be about.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool.
He was in Winter Soldier also. The Leaper.
Yeah,
Yes.
Batroc the
Okay.
Bat-
The name rang a bell, so I had to go look real quick.
Such a ridiculous villain.
Batroc the Leaper is a really stupid supervillain. That's his power.
His powers are kicking and jumping, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Basically
That's-
strong legs.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
And he's
getting the
French.
rundown
And
when
he's
I
French. Yeah.
watched Winter Soldier, and yeah, that's stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was he was a great inclusion in Winter Soldier, so that Cap can kick his ass.
Yeah.
But to have him come back for this first episode of Sam and Bucky, it's like, oh, now I feel really good about where this is.
He's going to have a bigger part too. It's clearly.
Yeah. Yep. I do. There are folks that have made mention of like, well, wait, you're telling us in regards to this flash mob anarchist movement,
Mhm.
where they bring up the fact that they kind of point out it's like this anarchist movement that are the bad guys. What they want to do is destroy borders. It's like, are they really the bad guys? Then I'm like, here's the thing: bad guys co-opt anarchists' ideals all the goddamn time. It's why you have to vet them. It's why you have to be careful about any organization that says, yes, we want to tear down borders. I want to tear down borders, but I'm also not a fascist in disguise. And there are groups that do that.
Yep.
All you have to do is look at the white supremacist groups that have been operating in America right now. They all operate under that same. It's like, oh, we want this and this. Oh, this brotherhood and camaraderie is great. Also, we're going to kill black people. Oh, okay. That's how
Quietly
these
back
groups operate.
out of the room.
Right.
Just like a cult. Everything all sounds good at the beginning.
Yep.
Like, in theory, objectively, on the outside, these are good things, and that's how they draw you in.
And I think if Sam and Bucky are going to shine a light on that, that's going to help a lot. Of like, no, you can still be a horrible, horrible group and want idealist ideologies. It's like, oh, we don't want borders because we want to take everything over. Fascists don't want borders either.
No,
they want one big border around everything that they control.
Yes, that they own.
Yep. It's like anarchists don't want borders because we don't need them.
Because your government is fucked anyway.
Exactly. It's like, why do we have wars? Well, because we think these people are supposed to have this and we don't want them to.
right.
That's a dumb reason. Also, money is not real and is dumb. Just put people in houses.
I saw a really interesting bit of exchange on Facebook, of all places, where someone had been talking about how about the phrase "money can't buy happiness," and how it's been corrupted from a concept of all the money in the world isn't going to, fulfill you in your soul. If you're just being a greedy bastard. It's been boiled down to like, oh, well, money is not going to make you happy. So just be glad you have nothing.
Right.
Just like keep people like to convince poor people that this is the better way to live, is just like on the brink of ruin and starvation and homelessness.
Yep. It's all
Yeah.
wrong. So yeah, I feel like that is definitely the direction the Sam and Bucky are going to go with the background narrative. I think we're going to see that in some of the supporting characters. Like, I'm more interested in the on ground support in Torres, and seeing like watching him kind of be on the ground and interacting with this group.
Right. And we're getting I always forget the character's name. Is it Agent Carter's daughter?
Yes, Agent 13.
Agent 13, that's it. Yeah.
Sharon.
So Sharon.
It's Sharon Carter. She's Peggy's niece in the MCU.
They changed it from daughter, right? From the comics.
That's it. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting that part confused. So it'd be cool to see more of her.
I'm also excited or interested to see more about the way people lived in the 5-year gap, which they've already started touching on.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's definitely something that's never been talked about before. Like if you're married and your spouse disappears and they're gone for 5 years, you might have moved on by then. And then that person comes back and it's been like I forget, was it the same amount of time passed for them, or did it feel like nothing?
5. It
Like
was
the
5.
quantum-
It
It
felt,
felt
like nothing.
Okay.
The ones who were blipped.
Jinx.
Sorry.
That's why Monica Rambeau was still sitting in her mother's hospital room. and went,
Right. 'Cause
Where's
she
my
had
mom?
just come out of
Yeah.
OR. Okay, right. I can never. I flip it back and forth in my mind sometimes.
And
But
now,
so like you're gone for what feels like moments, and you come back, and your partner has moved on.
Mhm.
Your kids have grown up. I mean, I know 5 years isn't like a whole lifetime, but it's a long time for life to change without you, and no one's talked about that.
yeah,
yet.
look what has happened in the 1 year that was 2020.
Oh, everyone's concerned about like, oh, children or should be worried because they're behind. Behind who? Everyone should be equally without the same education that they thought they were going to get or that was planned for them 12 months ago. And if you are anxious about it and put that anxiety onto them, that's the only way they're going to experience that. But otherwise, they have no idea. This is just the way the world is.
Right.
Okay, cat. Cat's gone crazy. Yeah, we're getting a better timeline now because the blip is Endgame.
Right.
WandaVision is roughly 2 weeks after Endgame.
Right.
Within that first month, and now with Sam and Bucky, we are about 3 months out.
It seems that way, yeah.
And Far From Home
Which-
is 6 months out.
6 months out. Yeah.
All
Semi-related.
in the year of 2023.
Oh, I always forget. That's right. Semi-related. Disney just announced Black Widow is going to Disney Plus. They're not gonna. They'll do a same day theatrical, but they saw the writing on the wall.
They pushed out both Marvel movies for this year because it was supposed to be released in May, and it's now scheduled for July 9th release, which pushed Shang-Chi from a July release to September.
I didn't realize they had finished filming Shang-Chi.
I hadn't either. Like, I was looking it up and I'm like, oh shit, Shang-Chi comes out this year? What? So yeah, that was nuts.
I mean, it's possible that they were doing post-production for everything that had been filmed during that, that big gap in filming. But
Right.
a lot of TV shows, at least, and movies, as far as I knew, started filming again last fall or late summer even.
Just
They
with
they
COVID
create-
protocols.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so
So-
Shang-Chi comes out in September and Black Widow is July 9th. And you're right, is both Disney Plus and theaters.
Right. Yeah. Oh shit! I didn't realize this. Ben Kingsley is in Shang-Chi.
Really?
He's on the expanded IMDb cast list.
Mm.
I
Good.
fucking
Good.
loved his character in Iron Man 3. That was just such a brilliant casting. The turn.
My name's Trevor.
Oh my god. I didn't realize Rosalind Chow is in it. She's having a little resurgence lately.
That's interesting. The last time I looked at IMDb, there were 9 cast members.
I mean, unless IMDb is letting people put in bullshit, but this doesn't seem. It seems to track with things I've read.
Yeah, the last cast list I recognized, there was 9 names. One of them was a white person. The rest of them were all Asian, including Simu, Aquafina, Tony Leung, and Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah,
Michelle Yeoh had no character listed by her name.
right. The only white guy at first wasn't Florian Montaigne.
Yes.
He listed as secondary villain.
Mhm.
Fala Chen is in it. I don't know her that well.
I think that she's works from Hong Kong.
Okay. Ronnie Cheng, he was in Crazy Rich Asians also, right?
Oh, that's right. Ronnie Cheng is in it.
Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
just showed Rosalind Chow, Ben Kingsley.
He is such his style of comedy is so lovingly abrasive.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy it. Mostly because it bucks against the trend of what you think Asian men are supposed to be.
It feels like the kind of stand-up that you only get if you spent like your childhood under British controlled Hong Kong, and then you spent your adult years in Chinese controlled Hong Kong, or the what do they call it? The agreement.
Right.
Because it's a very much this weird mix of like, he's kind of got dry British humor, but then he's got the other elements worked in. And I'm like, yeah, that's comedy that is born from living two very odd, cultural existences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love his
excited
stuff.
for Simu Liu to be in it. I know that he did a big post about like how bummed out he was about Kim's Convenience ending, and how he felt like he wasn't done with that character, and maybe this will be like a nice big break for him.
He's gonna blow up from this movie.
He is. I think that there is. I would like to see them petition Netflix, and Netflix put together a 2-hour Kim's Convenience movie that comes out maybe in another year.
I could see that.
That allows them to wrap up a lot of things that they didn't get to in another season that they were hoping for.
I could see them doing that, but we got to wrap this stuff. The other bit of random news, I don't know if it's true or not. There is a rumor, since she's been fired, that they're not actually gonna recast Cara Dune, but that the character is being dropped from Rangers of the New Republic and replaced with Syndulla.
Mm-hmm.
That would rock.
That's I would love for that rumor to be true.
Yeah, me too.
I will lose my mind if they bring a live action Harrison Dula to Rangers. I still want to Sun Hyun Lee to play Carson Teva.
I hope so.
Like, well, Kim's is over. He's available.
Right.
Just bring him back.
Just hit me who they could cast for Syndulla. My brain went like, Awkwafina could do that too, because Star Wars is the one franchise she's not in yet. She's collecting franchises like it's the 10 fucking rings.
I mean, Oceans.
Yeah,
Marvel.
Oceans. Marvel.
Jumanji.
Disney.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot about her part in Jumanji.
I hadn't. She does a fantastic Danny DeVito.
She really does.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what though? If she was going to be in Star Wars, I think I'd like to see her as Dr. Aphra. Although she'd have to play it a little more straight than she usually does, because Awkwafina, just like as a human, is a little bit like wackier than I think even Aphra is. Aphra is more an agent of chaos, but not in a funny, wacky way.
The person that I thought they had cast as Dr. Aphra was Chloe Bennett.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
But I don't know how true that is now that she is one of the Powerpuff Girls for the upcoming Power. That's true. Like it's Chloe Bennett and Dove Cameron, and I've forgotten the other actress's name, model turned actress for the live action Powerpuff Girl movie.
The current thing was someone named Emily Wu Zeller as Dr. Aphra.
I don't know who that is.
Who that is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe they're talking about a voice acting, because she's a voice actor, voice performer.
Oh, is Dr. Aphra going to show up in the Bad Batch? No, that's too soon.
That's too soon.
Huh.
I don't know.
Is that even the right time?
Oh, wait,
No.
that's an audiobook that they're showing the cast for.
Ah, okay.
All right. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah, there's no real
speculation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We should start wrapping up the show pretty soon, too.
Do you mind if I give a shout out to another podcast who is doing a something that I think would be near and dear to all of our hearts?
We don't promote other podcasts on this podcast.
Gross.
There is the podcast, The Gaylords of Darkness, which is hosted by Anthony Hudson and Stacey Ponder. They do a lot of it's queer view on horror movies. Last year, they did a marathon called The Three Inning, where they specifically, for 1 week, they watch the third installment of any horror franchise.
Awesome.
And they raise money during that time. They put up a GoFundMe so that they can raise money and then donate it to a charity. Last year, it was a Black Lives Matter charity that they donated to. This year, they are donating to the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum. Their original goal was $1,000. They're currently over $3,300, I think $3,500. So their new goal is $4,500.
Right.
I would definitely recommend checking them out. So far, they have done the Poltergeist 3.
Yeah.
And Children of the Corn 3.
Oh my God.
What was that title again?
Gaylords of Darkness. So please give it a listen.
You know, even when I was a kid and was using inappropriate slang, even then I thought like Gaylords is such a funny name. Just is. There's just some of those words that just make me go. It's just there. It makes no sense. But I can't decide which is worse, Poltergeist 3 or Children of the Corn 3.
Yeah, Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest. They actually have some very charming and loving things to say about Poltergeist 3, which is nice. So
yeah, I always feel bad for that one for multiple reasons.
I think the person they most drag is Laura Flynn Boyle's character.
Oh, she's awful.
Yes, and they drag the character appropriately.
But I just feel bad because
just the character.
Right. I also feel bad because Tangina just goes out like a punk in that movie for no reason. I'm like, what the shit was that? That's right.
Yeah, my friend at work, Eric, pointed at this show out. He's like, you need to listen to this. I don't care if you guys talk about it on Geek in the City, but you need to listen to this.
Check it out. Ooh, sorry.
That's all right. I don't think there's time to acknowledge the fact that we've all watched the 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say at this point.
Maybe Cable and I'll do a supplemental sometime.
Yeah. I can honestly say that I really have disliked his movies over the years, and I didn't hate this. So take that for what it is.
I didn't hate it. It's just
it's 4 hours long.
It's a movie and it's 4 hours long.
Is 4 hours long.
I could like dissect it, but I mean, I'd have to watch it some more, and I'm not gonna do that.
No.
If you want to have fun, just go on to Leslie Jones' Twitter feed because she live tweeted her watching of it. So just watch.
Okay, I might have to do that.
So yeah, people are now actually demanding more Snyderverse just so Leslie Jones can live tweet and review them.
Here's a comment that I will make.
And then
I wish I'd known that.
I also watched Coming to America this past week.
Yeah.
And I think the visual effects on Coming to America were much better than Justice League.
Yes.
And that's after they redid a bunch of the CGI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the choice of how they designed the CGI characters, quite honestly.
Someone, after she started tweeting about it, tagged in Ava DuVernay and said, so you need to cast Leslie Jones as one of the Furies in your New God movies. And I'm like, oh, one of the 4 Furies.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be sweet.
I feel like the obvious choice would be to make her Stampa.
Probably.
But it would be brazen and exciting to make her Granny.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd be so good. I mean, granted, like Granny should actually be Ed Asner in drag, but
yeah, yeah. I just rewatched Red a few days ago, and I forgot about his tiny part as the CIA archivist.
You're right. I forgot about that too.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know anything about this.
Red's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's
It's
goofy.
on. I think it's on Prime right now. It's goofy fun. Yeah. Probably the last thing Bruce Willis did that I enjoyed,
Mm,
and it wasn't even Bruce Willis that I liked. It was Mary Louise Parker and John Malkovich.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
And Helen Mirren.
Oh my God, that's right. How could I forget Harry Miller?
Dame Helen Mirren.
Best wet works in the business.
Mhm.
What's that? I kill people, dear.
What did RED stand for again? It was
Retired, extremely dangerous.
That's it.
Yeah.
So Red's an acronym.
Yeah. All right. Should we wrap up this week?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big thanks again to Keith Baker and Jen Ellis.
Ellis. Yep.
They were
Yeah.
fantastic, and I got to check this game out. Because in
I
full disclosure, I've never listened to the Adventure Zone.
I listened to a few early episodes. It's humorous. I obviously did not get like sucked in and like committed to it, but it's amusing.
it sounds like we are the perfect demographic group to play this game.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of I was thinking. So
Yeah, you don't need fandom to enjoy a Together Studios game.
This is also very true.
I don't think any of us are big time Decemberist fans, but we love Illimat. So
yeah, that's true.
I kind of am a December.
I like the Decemberists for
I
sure.
like them, but I wouldn't consider myself a big time fan.
Fair. I look forward to being able to play games with them again too,
Mhm,
in person.
mhm.
I think we need to follow up with that whole like let's have a barbecue and game day when
Yep.
we can all be
Right?
in the same yard together.
100%.
I mean, by then Bean's probably going to be working for them.
Right. So we'll basically be family.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, on that, I'm Aaron Durand.
I'm Bean Rita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
We will talk to everybody next week.